Welcome back. It is the PM show, CRN Digital Talk Radio. Fred Dryer is the man of the hour.
Thank you so much.
I'm Jennifer Horn, and we're talking about leadership in the GOP. And, you know, a question for you, Fred, as someone who is a young conservative, or at least semi-young conservative.
Yep.
I want to get behind people in my party. I had a hard time during the primaries, during this last presidential election. Eventually, I kind of fell onto the Romney bandwagon. But before that, I kind of kept thinking, you know, Newt, it was the strongest one, definitely the smartest one on the panel, but no one would ever vote for him because he had this stigma of being an old white guy. So what kind of leadership is out there? How do we revitalize a party so that we can actually get back to a fiscally conservative way of life? How can we go back to making cuts and not just raising taxes all the time if we don't have the leadership in place?
Well,
Who is it?
Well, first of all, that is the question, and that is the question that I would love to dump at the foot of Reince Priebus, the head of the GOP.
Right.
He's the titular head, the guy that sets the tone for where the party is. He's the one. He's the bell ringer, trying to rally people to get behind their ideas. But all their ideas are politicized. They're not organic, and they don't come from the root of the Constitution. They don't come from Judeo-Christian principles. They're frightened to death to talk about the Bible. They're frightened to death to be able to talk about how old the planet is. You know, I like Marco Rubio, for the most part, but he was sucker punched into this GQ article. And when they asked him, he said, how old do you think the planet is? And he stumbled, thumbed around and answered, gave him a big paragraph where he wobbled all over the place, and it was indicative of fear. It was indicative of somebody who had to feel this hot grounder out of the blue. It was clearly a setup. I had to print out of the interview, and if you saw the interview, you know, what do you think about family and kids? And do you like the Dodgers? Or by the way, how old do you think the planet is? You know, it was a
Everybody's
sucker punch.
looking for the gotcha moment.
It was a sucker punch, and instead of him just saying, "Why are you asking me that question?"
Right.
What place does that question have?
Right. How important is that? Absolutely.
Yeah, that's a gotcha question. Next question. Let's move on. Instead of handling it that way and moving on and diffusing the narrative, he fell into it and he started answering all these questions this guy was asking, and it was maddening, you know. But and he's one of the bright ones. But where's the leadership? I'll tell you where the leadership is, and I've said this. It started the capsule form, and I beat on this because, and it's redundant, so forgive me, folks, if you've heard it before, but I'm going to say it again, and I don't think you can say it enough in this culture, this politically correct culture that we live in, the media-driven, great grinding wheel of propaganda that completely floods you with stupidity and lies. And this president is a racist. This president hates the country. He hates the founding fathers. He wants to get rid of the Constitution, and all the enemies of America want to get rid of that Constitution. If they can get rid of it, then the big machinery collapses. But the only way to save this, to go back and talk about the right things that mean anything, is to go back to the right of center where the Constitution is. The Constitution politically is right of center. Right. And it's not extreme. Every time you turn around, and somebody on a talk show host, these people, this Ed Schultz and all these other jackasses, now are all talking about how extreme the right is. They want to brand, and they've done a beautiful job doing it. They brand anybody that even mentions the Constitution or mentions Judeo-Christian principles,
as someone on the fringe,
or says Merry Christmas, right? You know, they completely are overwhelmed with this gotcha moment, and no elected politician will stand up and just say, you know, just a second here. I believe in the Constitution. I'm a constitutional conservative, and this is what I believe to be true. This is what this country is. You know, I make a joke. A friend of mine, I was out at a Mexican restaurant with him about 3 months ago, and it was right before Halloween, actually, so it wasn't that far long ago. And I just said, if you had a Corvette And I came over and said, you know what? We're not going to sell those or make those anymore because we're going to make these battery cars. And as a matter of fact, here's what we're going to do. We're going to change that car, and we're going to put a battery in it. We're going to put Volkswagen fenders on it. And not only is that what we're going to do, but it looks better too.
Right.
And so everybody says, well, okay, I guess that's what we're going to do, and they tolerate it, and they buy the cars. And so what you wind up getting is you get cowardly people that don't know their own mind. They are not rooted in anything, and it is true. I said this to my brother the other day that it's very difficult to get a free people to fight for their freedom.
Right.
They don't understand that they have a target on their back. And
we get spoiled. I mean, and we get complacent. Also, I think as a society, we don't know any different. We don't appreciate the freedoms that we actually have. If we did, we would fight for them a whole lot more.
It's really true, and you have to educate people in schools. Mitt Romney should have spent 6 months
with the young voters,
touring schools and giving the same speech across the country to people, and set and establish the narrative. The press would have come to him and to criticize him, and that would have given him the platform to straighten him out.
Right.
That's leadership, and we'll talk more about that when we come back.
It is Fred Dryer and the PM Show. I'm Jennifer Horn in for Michael. If you have anything to get back with Fred on, please. This is an open dialogue, 800-336-2225 or incoming at crni.net. You can also connect with us at Facebook, facebook.com/The Real Fred Dryer. And of course, information is all available on our website at crntalk.com. We'll be back. CRN Digital Talk Radio.